Well, good morning, Queensland. So in some really good news, we have 0 community cases overnight, so that's fantastic. That's exactly what we want to see at this stage. We do have 5 cases in hotel quarantine, which means now we have 32 active cases. We've had 5,113 vaccines over the past 24 hours. And in some really good news, the Health Minister just advised me that we had over 81,000 vaccinations last week. So in 1 week alone, that is tremendous news. So we're very happy that people are going out and getting vaccinated. So look, I do want to thank everyone who's going out and getting tested, and also to those alerts, those media alerts that went out about where this young woman had been with the DFO, and also to the Portuguese Family Centre out at Carroll Park in Ellen Grove. So please make sure you're checking all of those things, and if you have been to any of those venues, it's important to isolate and to get tested. So I'll just hand over to Dr. Young, and then we'll just take any questions on this first. Yeah.
So, good morning. So 5 new cases, all in hotel quarantine, which is excellent, and no community cases. But I need to clarify a few issues with the young woman who travelled to Australia from Portugal. So she travelled on an Emirates flight, but she was not Emirates cabin crew. She was coming to Australia to then work as cabin crew for other airlines. So she came into hotel quarantine. We now have the genome sequence back, and it clearly shows it is exactly the same as another person's genome sequence who was also in that crew hotel at 4 points. So we're just working out how that transmission occurred. But there is no doubt that she has acquired it in the hotel or at some point when she's come into contact with that person. That person was not on that Emirates flight. They were on a totally different flight into Australia. They also work as cabin crew. So all of that work's happening. So we've now had to work with all the airlines about other crew that they've had in that hotel, just to sort through whether there's been any other events that have happened. And we've also worked with all of the staff. So we're retesting all of the staff in that hotel, but I'm pretty confident that it won't have been through staff, as we know that our staff get tested every single shift. But we're just absolutely confirming all of that. The good thing out of all of this, though, is that we know that the lady who came from Portugal has the B117, or the Alpha variant, which used to be called the UK variant. So it is contagious, but it's not as contagious as the Delta variant that we're now seeing circulate through parts of Sydney. So that is good news. I do want to thank all those people who went to DFO, and we now know that the lady did go into Cotton On at the DFO, so we'll be doing some further work looking at anyone else who was in Cotton On at the same time at the DFO at the airport. But it's important that anyone who went to the DFO between 4 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. on Saturday comes forward, as people have been doing, so that we can work with them what risks they may have. I'm not so concerned now about the time that the lady spent outdoors in the centre of the CBD between 5 and 6. That's now less of a risk, given that we know which variant. But people do need to be attuned to any symptoms. So if anyone who was in the CBD between 5 and 6 p.m. on Saturday or around those times develops any symptoms, indeed I always say anyone in Queensland with any symptoms, please come forward and get tested. That is really important. Then the last thing I wanted to mention was the fantastic vaccine results. So over the last 7 days, we vaccinated over 81,000 Queenslanders in our Queensland Health vaccination clinics. Thank you to all of those people who came forward and got vaccinated, and thank you to all the staff who did the work. That's an astounding result. We at the moment receive 55,800 doses a week of Pfizer from the Commonwealth, so we will certainly be asking for more doses of Pfizer. It is really important that people keep coming forward to get vaccinated, particularly that 40 to 59-year-old age group. That is really, really important that you come forward, and of course any 1A and 1Bs who have not already been vaccinated. Now, it is important if you've had one dose of AstraZeneca that you go and get the second dose. You do need that for full protection. So please, if you've had one dose of AstraZeneca, 12 weeks later, you need to go and get that second dose from your GP, from one of the Commonwealth clinics, or if you're 1A or 1B, you can come to one of the Queensland Health clinics for that. Thank you. Yes. Yes. No, absolutely in hotel quarantine. So she acquired her infection from another cabin crew member who was in quarantine at the 4 Points Hotel, and genome sequencing has shown that there is no difference between the two genomes, no SNPs difference, so she acquired it in some way in the hotel. Because we've done whole genome sequencing on the lady who came from Portugal and this other cabin crew member who was in hotel quarantine at the same time. They're exactly the same sequence. No, I don't believe. No, they were on different floors. So they're all the things that we're going through at the moment to see where crossover could have occurred. No, she was window shopping. She was walking around for a very brief period in the CBD, so I'm really not that concerned, but please, anyone who was in the CBD, and I understand there was some sort of scavenger hunt happening and it was actually quite crowded in the CBD on Saturday afternoon, so anyone who has been in the CBD on that Saturday late afternoon, early evening, any symptoms at all, please come forward and get tested immediately. Right, she had 3 tests done while she was in hotel quarantine, day 0, day 5 and day 12, and we know that will pick up more than 99% of cases. But then when she left on day 14, the hotel, the apartment block at Hamilton, which has crew in it who aren't in quarantine, so this is just the standard place that airline crew stay between flights. It's not a quarantine facility because they don't need to be in quarantine, but they test all crew routinely every 7 days. So it was a routine test that picked it up on that day, which is why we've been able to get onto this so quickly.
All right, I might just talk about another issue now, if that's all right. Okay, so...
Can I just ask you a question very quickly?
No, we'll do this one first, I think, yeah. Okay. So, look, can I say to Queenslanders, I've got some very good news today, and I hope everyone is going to be just as delighted as we are. Everyone knows that Dr. Young has stood by our side through thick and thin. She has been with us every step of the way during this pandemic. And today I can announce to Queenslanders that the next Governor of Queensland will be Dr. Jeannette Young. I was advised... advised that Her Majesty had endorsed Dr. Young's appointment. Now, people across Queensland have stopped me and have said to me, Dr. Young's going to be our Governor, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And I thank Queenslanders for doing that. I'm quite sure that she will be the people's Governor because she has been with the people of this state through the most difficult challenges that our state has ever had to face. So I'm absolutely delighted, and she's joined today with her husband Graham, so I'm delighted that they are both here. Now the other thing is, because we are in the midst of this vaccination program, and I know how keen Dr. Young is to see people vaccinated. Dr. Young will be taking up that role on the 1st of November this year. So Paul de Jersey, our current Governor, His Excellency, I want to thank him for his tremendous work that he's done, and he has graciously accepted to extend his role until the 1st of November so Dr. Young can complete this really important work for Queensland. So I hope everyone joins with me today in congratulating our next Governor of Queensland, Dr. Jeannette Young, and I'll hand over to Dr. Young.
Thank you very, very much, Premier. This is an enormous honour and one I'm so pleased to accept. It will be a real privilege to be able to go across our wonderful state and talk to Queenslanders throughout the state, because it has been Queenslanders who have done this over the last 18 months. They've given up so much for us to be where we are, and for me to have that true honour and privilege to go out and talk to people is unbelievable. It will be big shoes to fill. Our Governor has been an amazing Governor through some very difficult times, and I really look forward to talking to him, and I look forward with my husband, who has been the most enormous support over the last 18 months, and indeed for my career over the last 16 years. I've been truly privileged to be able to remain as Queensland's Chief Health Officer over that last 16 years, and I believe we have achieved so much. And finally, I just wanted to thank our government, led by the Premier. She has been an amazing person to work with over the last 18 months. The advice that I've given to her over this time, I'm sure, has not been easy at all, but she has never wavered. Her and her cabinet are an amazing group of individuals. So I look forward to going out across the state and meeting so many people. Thank you very much, and thank you, Premier.
The obvious question is
Why?
why? Why is he here?
Why I said yes. This is such an honour to be the Governor of Queensland, to be able to go out and work with people and talk to people, and it's such an opportunity to really work so that Queenslanders feel proud, as I'm sure they already do, that they live in this fantastic state. So I think it's a great opportunity. I really do.
It has to be a bit easier being Governor of Queensland than seeing CHO during the pandemic, sure.
Yes, but I hope that the pandemic will be on its way out by the time I become Governor. I was so glad that the current Governor agreed to extend his time. He has done such a lengthy term, which is truly fantastic of him. I do want to continue to push to roll out the vaccine. I want every adult Queenslander 16 years of age and over able to have at least been offered the vaccine before I become Governor. That's absolutely my push over the time between now and November. If it was for anything else, it would have been very, very hard, yes. It will be hard. I've really, really enjoyed my time. There are so many things that I've been able to do in the last 16 years that I look back on with so much fondness. And I've been able to do them because of the team I've been able to recruit. I think that is one of the most important things a leader does. It's the team they recruit. And I've been very, very fortunate in the people I've been able to recruit and the team I've had. And that's what stood us in such good stead with this pandemic, because we all knew each other and we just got on and did things.
Are you a monarchist?
I've just been appointed by the...
Answer the question, are you a monarchist or a republican?
I think that is irrelevant in this situation. I am here to provide a role that's really important, and I think our process of government in Queensland, in Australia, is to be envied around the world. Oh, of course it is, yes. But There have been so many other things that I've got to do that have made such a difference. Some of them are not finished yet, but I know there are really, really good people who will complete them. I would love to see Queensland as a smoke-free state. We've got our smoking rates down to 9%, which is so good, and I hope that they continue to decrease. That as an individual thing that anyone can do for themselves, that's the most important. But there are so many other things. Retrieval Services Queensland, the fact that anyone in Queensland can access the best care in a time of need, that we can just get a plane or a helicopter to them. Then our vaccination rates. I can remember when I was told that we would be aiming for 95% vaccination for kids, I thought, that can't be done, but I believe in aspirational targets, and it was done. So there are so many things that I've been able to be involved with over the last 16 years because I've been allowed to be around for 16 years. That in itself is an enormous privilege.
Where would you like to see replace you as a chief officer?
Oh, we'll be going out and advertising. Of course, the Director General, the Minister, will go out and recruit the best person possible. And there are so many candidates out there that I can think of off the top of my head. So there'll be a superb person.
Given the time that your wife spent away from the house during this pandemic, it almost feel like getting a right back.
Yes, I think that's fair comment. But I've always been very happy to support Jeannette in her role, and I'll be delighted to continue to do so. No, well, in fact, I'm retiring next month.
When did you decide that Jeannette was the right person?
Can I say, I actually think Queenslanders decided this. It was wonderful. Like when there was talk about who the next governor was going to be, everyone would just, they'd be at dinner parties or during lockdowns or out and about, and they say, "Oh, it's Dr. Young." That's a no-brainer. So I just think she has just been a rock for Queensland during this pandemic, and she'll see us through the vaccination program, and she'll take on this very important office for our state, and will continue to do what she loves, meeting and seeing Queenslanders. And she'll have that opportunity to do that right across the length and breadth of our state. I might get the DP to say a few words. Because,
If I can, I'd love
yeah.
to. Thanks, Brilliant. Dr. Jeannette Young kept Queenslanders safe throughout COVID. She is much loved throughout our state, and she'll be a wonderful Governor of Queensland. It's particularly fitting to be able to make this announcement here on the Green of Parliament at 9 a.m. in front of that iconic fern where the three of us with our Auslan team stood all of those days. And so it's great for me to be back here with the Health Minister to be part of this announcement. And it was a great honour for me to serve next to Jeannette Young as our Chief Health Officer for the 3 years that I was Health Minister, but for the almost 12 months, the first 12 months of the pandemic. And while she's loved by Queenslanders by what they were able to see at those press conferences and throughout the pandemic, I saw as Health Minister behind the scenes just how hard working she is, how smart and dedicated she is, and how respected she is across our health system and the entire health sector. Last year I was in Proserpine one day and a cane grower's wife pulled me aside and she said, "Excuse me, are you some kind of politician?" And I said, "Yes, I'm some kind of politician." And she asked, do I work with that lady, that Jeannette Young lady? And I said I did, with some trepidation. And she asked if I could pass on to Jeannette her thanks for how hard she was working and encourage her to keep standing up to those who were criticising her. And I said I'd do one better. She could tell her herself, and I rang Jeannette and let her speak directly. And since then, that's become my favourite thing to do. Every time somebody stops me and asks me to pass a message on to Jeannette. In this new role, she will be able to spend more time out there in the community, speaking to people like that and working with them directly. So she'll be our 27th Governor. She'll be a wonderful Governor, and I congratulate her on this announcement.
And Avi?
Well, it's with sadness to lose my Chief Health Officer, but with absolute joy to know Dr. Young is going to be our next Governor of Queensland. I could not think of anyone more suited to take on this role. As the Premier and Deputy Premier has said, Dr. Young has seen us through the most difficult times of this global health pandemic. And I'm pleased that I still get to work with her for a few more months as we see the vaccination roll out. But the role that Dr. Young will play going forward as the Governor will be a very important one as well. As we rebuild, we open up our economy, we give people confidence that our state is going to continue to grow. We need the person who helped make that happen be travelling right across this state, meeting with all types of people, all different businesses and organisations, hearing and supporting them. And I know that Dr. Young will do an absolute amazing job, and I congratulate her today. I thank the Premier for her decision. I also regularly get stopped and people go, well, she's going to be our next Governor, isn't she? So it is a no-brainer, as the Premier said. But I'm still, when I heard the news that we had the official, the authorisation to make this announcement, I just could not be more proud, and I want to congratulate Dr. Young and also her husband Graham, who I know has stood by her and supported her for so many years, but particularly through pandemic and certainly will in this new role.
While you're there, sorry, I wanted to ask a question for Gold Coast. You've got 30,000. You've got to 30,000 outpatients waiting to see specialists at Gold Coast University. It seemed a lot to you, and how do you get the figure down?
Well, we have been getting our figures down. The performance data that we released last week shows the pressure that our system is under. So there's no surprises in that data because we have been standing up and saying that we see there is unprecedented demand on our system, not just in Queensland, but across the country. I've seen the opposition playing politics with this, trying to make out as if this is only a Queensland problem, but every state and territory are reporting demand and extra demand on their systems. We've put extra money into clearing some of the backlog for elective surgery, and our health workers have done an incredible job in doing a lot of catch-up, but we've got more work to do, and that's why we've got the record budget that was handed down last week for health.
I'm sorry, we've got to go.
Thank you.
Okay, Premier, can we take some pictures?
No, that's it.